Broadcasting from the Penguin Air Plumbing and Electrical Studios, we are your hosts, Will Hallett and Wade Rusk, and this is the Penguin Pro Show. The Penguin Pro Show is an informative podcast talking about air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and electrical systems in the home. Each week, we will bring on a panel of professionals to educate listeners on different topics related to these systems. Good morning, Wade.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Fantastic.
How was your weekend?
Great. Low-key, didn't do a whole heck of a lot. Got outside, took some naps.
Went on some hikes, I saw.
Mm-hmm.
With Tucker.
I did.
So,
How about you?
You gonna ask me? How was my weekend?
I already did. How about you?
We went to Rocky Point. For listeners that don't know where Rocky Point is, it's about 4 hours south of Phoenix. It's Arizona's beach. It was cold, windy. Still is cold and windy up here. In Phoenix as well. But the one thing I got out of that trip, Wade, you'll be proud of me. I listened to a whole book. I finished a book that you recommended.
A children's book?
No, a book that you recommended. Green Lights.
Green Lights. It is a good book.
By Matthew McConaughey. What a cool dude. That guy is quite the optimist.
He's pretty smart.
Smart dude. And way he can articulate everything, it's incredible. So
he's not your typical actor. He had a good old boy upbringing, I think, from his parents and his siblings, and I like the guy a lot. He's not your typical celebrity out there in the limelight.
No, he does some cool things, and you would never know as a celebrity or movie star that he'd be out in the jungle or floating the Amazon River for 5 days just by himself. But with that book, we're going to talk a little bit about something that Matthew McConaughey talks about. And an arrow, you guys know this, and we have, by the way, we listeners, we have Jay Kline and Jeff Fry back in today. Last week we talked about AC replacement. That was part one. We're going to talk about part two today. We're going to talk about the Penguin experience. But I wanted to share something with you guys that I learned from this book. And an arrow doesn't seek a target. The target attracts the arrow. And it's just like our customers, right? We need to be doing things like we're going to talk about today, that target attracts the arrow. So that target attracts our customers and everything that we do. So let's get this rolling today. Jeff and Jay are going to...
Can you elaborate on that a little bit more? I think we're all a little confused.
So what he's saying is an arrow, okay? You think an arrow, when you shoot an arrow, you're seeking the target, but the target actually attracts, because the target is what's attracting the arrow. That's what we're trying to shoot for, is that target. Honing in on that target. You read the book, Wade. Don't you remember this?
Do you remember the target and the arrow in the book?
I don't remember.
It's a whole
yesterday.
chapter. It's a whole chapter, I know. But so
The point is it's about the target.
It's about the target, not the arrow. Does that make sense now?
I think maybe
Well, let's be
from
honest.
a hunting aspect I can get it. You focus on the target as a hunter or a shooter, not on the arrow.
Right.
So if we focus on our customer, the target,
That's right.
right? What we do focusing on the customer,
That's right.
what we put out there, the arrow will attract the customer to us, the target. I mean, I could see that because I don't look
There
at
you
the
go.
arrow when I shoot. I focus on the target when I
Yes.
shoot.
And the arrow attracts the target. The target attracts the arrow. Does that make sense now?
No.
Okay. Read the book again.
Okay.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to act like the customers. Basically, I'm just going to ask a question right now. You know, why should a customer, or why should I as a customer, okay, buy an AC unit from Penguin Air?
For me, the answer is simple. It's peace of mind. Peace of mind from beginning to end. I think that's what separates Penguin Air from the rest of the AC companies out in the valley. And that starts with the initial call into the call center. Our customer service reps, and Jay can speak on that, you know, they're trained to make sure that they listen and answer the questions from the customer and get them, you know, to the appropriate person. You know, we have in fact, I've got it in front of me, but we've got 3 sheets of our processes that take place when we're scheduling an install from beginning to end.
Okay, so let's talk about that from the beginning. What are we doing in the beginning?
Well, Jay, assuming when the call comes in, and we've got customer service reps that are going to answer the calls, and they're trained to listen to the customer, identify their needs, and then make sure that they're directed to the appropriate person. Is that?
Yeah, and we even have a few people that are specific for being able to, who kind of specialize in talking about units with customers, because it's kind of a completely different scenario than, of course, calling in for a service call or a tune-up. There's a lot more that goes into that side of things, so we do have a few representatives that are specifically trained to ask the right questions, to know exactly, so that we can get them the proper experience and get the right person out there for them.
Okay, so we get it scheduled, right? Ready to go. So is there anything we do beforehand, before we get to the customer's house?
Well, I think one of the things too, and even talking to some of the customer service reps, they work with the customer to find the best time. So we're very flexible in meeting the customer's needs. If they need something today or if they need something next week, they work with the customer to make sure that we fit within their schedule. So we're not making them adjust to our schedule. We're doing our best to make sure that their needs are first.
Okay.
And then prior, at least for me, my experience, before I go out to a home, I do some research. I actually go to the county assessor's website. It's going to give a little bit of information about when the home was built, the type of construction that it was used. I'm able to actually kind of Google the area and look at the home, so I understand exactly what I'm, going into.
Okay.
And just a little bit of background about the home itself before I go out there. And then again, there's a lot of information that's actually gathered from the customer service reps when they actually speak to the customer, that's passed on to me. That just, again, helps prep, and I guess kind of to use the hunting analogy, it's to focus in on that target, to make sure, again, and I think when I say peace of mind.
Okay, I'm confused. Are we talking about the arrow and the target again?
I had to bring it. I had to tie it in together.
You guys are messing with me.
We're setting you up.
I think the biggest thing for us is, when I look at prior to going out to a home, I'm only concerned about what's in the best interest of that customer. I'm not concerned about what's in the best interest of Penguin Air necessarily, or a manufacturer. I'm interested in trying to find out what the customer is looking for, what's in their best interest, and presenting that to them.
Okay.
And then a couple other really cool things that'll come out before the calls even ran, in a sense, before Jeff gets there, is a lot of the stuff that we do in the software. They'll get an email and a text message with a picture of Jeff, right? If Jeff's the one coming out to the home, so they know exactly what he looks like. So they have the security of when he knocks on the door. Okay, this is the right representative. It'll give a little bit of a detail breakdown on his bio, his family, his kids, his hobbies. That also comes out as well with that. And then there's another message that comes out where you can actually track Jeff as he dispatches to come to the home, and it'll literally show him on a map, so they know when to expect him to arrive at the home, so they can even follow him on a little map to get there. So.
Yeah, I love that piece, and we do that for all of our technicians. Yep. Now, something that Wade and I want to get to, and this is another step that we're bringing on to our software, is customers being able to actually get a virtual quote, right? Maybe we talk a little bit about that or not, but that's something that we're working on because of COVID, right? Things that are changing. I know, Wade, we talk about this a lot with the changes that are happening and with the way that customers want to get their quotes, and you don't have to have somebody in the home all the time.
I don't want to talk about the virtual quote necessarily yet. What I was going to ask Jeff is, there's a lot of companies out there that are trying to put a price on the website, a low price. They call it an e-commerce model. And this is an install, it's a service. It's not like buying, a set of pans. So explain to us how that can go wrong, or why that's not necessarily the safest bet.
Well, I think it speaks to application. It's, every home is different. The ductwork is different. The insulation is different. And then what the customer keeps their thermostat is different, how they run their home. So it's real easy for a company to say, hey, here's the price for a 4-ton, split system, but they haven't looked at the application, so it may be a completely wrong fit.
And options. That's a good point. You may not need a 4-ton. but also options. We got 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 SEER systems now, variable speed, 2-stage, this and that and the
options.
other. Not to get too technical, but that's the thing. How's a homeowner know what is the best fit for them? It's not just about price.
It's not. It requires a thorough evaluation.
That scares me a little bit that the industry's trying to go to that. But we are going to do our best to play in that arena, if you will, I guess, with at least a virtual. We're not just going to say, here's a price on our website, but we don't need to come out to the home necessarily. We can get pretty close, right?
Right, and that's
What's that look like?
well. Let's talk about what you have to do when you get to the home, so that customers kind of weigh that out. Like, am I getting all my options, like you're just talking about, right? What is it you're going to do when you arrive to the home, and talking about those applications.
Are you still going to the home on a virtual?
No, I'm just talking outweighing virtual versus coming to the home.
Okay.
That's what I would probably kind of want to know, what you're going to be doing versus a virtual.
Well, I think we would need to asterisk the virtual in that there still needs to be an in-home visit, because there are still,
Like a pre-measure.
correct, you still have to measure things, and it's really important, again, to look at the ductwork. I know we spoke last week, about getting up in the attic. There's a lot of homes here in the valley that have a specific type of gray flex ductwork that actually is deteriorating over time. And unless you actually visually see it, you may not notice it, other than potentially some additional utility bill increases, some less comfort in the home. So virtual is great and it is easy. And again, speaking of COVID times, it's safer. But regardless, even if somebody chooses, a system online, they still require a representative to go out to the home and do an evaluation. Because if not, then we're not looking out for the best interest of the customer.
So we can do it all in one stop, get the expert out there to do that evaluation and then go over options with you. So you're not eliminating any steps at all. You're adding a step. Now you're dealing with this online. You still got to have somebody else come out.
To do it right.
What I've
for
heard
sure.
is a lot of those low prices on the internet or whatever, and then they come out and they end up upselling you anyway. Because they're not making money at those prices.
Correct. It's really just more to get in the door. Again, so I firmly believe that the best option is to have somebody come out to your home, do a thorough evaluation. And again, then we talked about some of the positives about the Penguin experience for us is, in our training, and it's not just myself, it's our service techs, it's our installers, but we take video, we take pictures. We are going to prove it to the customer. Don't just, we're not just going to say, hey, you've got bad ductwork. We're going to show you your bad ductwork. We're going to prove it to you. And that goes even forward. So, if we're able to earn the business from a customer from our install process, it goes back and almost mirrors the initial process of when our installers call and say, hey, they're on their way, their pictures are sent so you know who's coming to your home. And again, it's just peace of mind. And I'm going to kind of repeat that peace of mind, but it's true. In fact, even the little things, we have our systems shipped to the homeowner's address before the install. And it's because that it's a brand new system. We're not trying to do a bait and switch and use something that we've had in our warehouse for 6 months.
Like a scratch and dent.
Correct.
I've seen that.
But and again, we give that pre-call when the background of the installers, but we do full background checks, drug testing on all our installers. Again, it's just peace of mind. So the customers, they don't have to necessarily be there for the install. They have that peace of mind that they meet with the installers. The installer is going to go over the agenda, the scope of the work, explain everything that's going to happen to the homeowner. The homeowner can leave if they want to. Again, we're licensed, bonded, insured, background check, drug tested. It's peace of mind for the customer.
You pulled the words out of my mouth with the licensing and the bonding and the insurance and all that. So there's no risk on the homeowner whatsoever.
No.
And they can rest assured they're going to get the right application for that home. That's important.
Absolutely.
It's not like buying a car.
And I think what's great too is our installers, once they get there, they're going to communicate with the homeowner every step of the way. Because it's a retrofit, as we explained last week, you're not buying something in a box and then just plugging it in. you're actually assembling it in the home. Sometimes maybe dirty ductwork, or if there's bad ductwork that's is on scene, when we're assembling that, the installers are going to communicate with the customer any issues that possibly arise, and again, they're not just going to, hey, we found this, you should do this. They're going to show it to the customer. Hey, this is what we found. Look at this, and then they'll go through the options on how to address that.
Yep.
So day of install, that's the most important day of that system. So Jay, let's talk a little bit about what we do to train our guys on installs. Jeff kind of briefly talked about what we do, but kind of go through and what we do in the training side of for these installers.
Yes, I mean, we start, most of these guys start off with, of course, the big part is customer service training, right? I mean, that's what we go through. We go through that. I mean, we have training, we had it last week on just what do they do when they get to the door, right? What conversation do they have with the homeowner when they get to the door to make sure that they're educating them on, this is what we're going to do for you today. So the homeowner doesn't have those questions like, okay, you knock on my door, what happens now? Or they just go up on the roof or into the attic and they're like, okay, how long? So they're going to go over that right up front. And that's a big part of it, to let the customer know, okay, this is how long it's going to take. This is what we're going to need access to. This is some of the stuff we're going to be doing. And I'll check in with you through the process. So that's a lot of the stuff that we start with training-wise. And then, of course, it gets into all the technical training. We have full systems installed in our warehouse. That we have a full training area in the warehouse where the guys can look at, one, how do we properly install all these units? And two, how do we work on them? How do we maintain them? So they can go through, and we have full technical training that they do out there as well as each install, crew will get a full install booklet that goes through how to properly install every single system the way that we want it done at Penguin. So it's very consistent. And it's exactly how we want it done, the best way we feel it's done for that homeowner.
It's very systematic. I saw the manuals myself yesterday because they keep improving them.
Mm-hmm.
And all the way down to if they have to put a screw through the roof on a roof application for the condensation line or whatever, sealing that hole with silicone. When they seal the ductwork up to the unit, masking it off so there's straight edges. I mean, we've all seen some atrocities out there, right? Where they just throw sealant on the unit, it looks like.
Yeah, we're really big on that quality, and with all the...
Well, making it look nice.
Yeah, and it's help for training too. I mean, you're going to have you're going to have the leads, and then those helpers can learn from those manuals to what needs it to look like.
Exactly how it's going to be done. Like Wade said, I mean, it goes down to this, small specific stuff. You use this exact connector to connect the wiring to the unit. I mean, a simple, small, 50-cent part, but this is the one that you use to properly fit and secure that wiring to the unit so that they know that. And like I say, there's no question on the quality or the consistency. Every unit is the same and it's done the right way.
And we took one of our best installers that we've had with us for years, almost since the beginning of the business 10 years ago. And he's now going behind almost every install and doing a quality control inspection and making sure it's done the way it's supposed to be and following the system.
Why is it important to have a quality control?
Well, it's very important. I mean, one, you want to make sure that system is going to operate for you properly. Like we talked about, in series 1 of this, there's so many issues that can happen from improper installation, your unit premature failure. We went over all that stuff. So that's the biggest thing on a quality control is, one, our install lead goes out there, our field supervisor, to make sure that these units were installed up to our Penguin standards, not just regular code or regular standards, our Penguin standards, because, code is, it gets stuff in safely, but not properly, and not the way that we want it. Like, code doesn't care if there's clean lines on the roof for their tar, but we do. We want it to look nice. So it makes sure that all of that is done, everything is done properly. And then if he does find anything that, hey, he wants a crew to improve or change or do something a little bit different, then he can bring that back and do some training with them and let them know. As well as these guys, like Jeff said, they'll be showing pictures throughout the way, at the end, at the beginning. They have to upload all those pictures as well into our database, Service Titan, so that we can actually view everything. Jeff can look at those jobs. I can look at those jobs. You guys can look at those jobs and say, okay, let's see what the finished product looked like. So we make sure that that's all done properly. And like say the last step of that is our field supervisor going out there to ensure everything is working 100% for that unit and that everything is good to go for them.
So let's be honest. Been in business 10 years. Every installer we've ever hired has their own way of doing it. It's not always the right way. And so we came up with the best way of doing it. Every year we, improve the ways if needed and find better ways, but we came up with all the best ways and put images and instructions in a manual and training and said, do it this way.
Yeah, and a lot of these installers, they come with bad habits, and a lot of them come with really good habits that we've stole. It's like, hey, you do it differently, you do it this way. We really like that. We like the way that looks, or we like the way that that system works. So we steal it from them, we put it in the book, and of course they're happy to have it in the install book. Hey, I brought that to the team, So yeah, we definitely steal a lot of the good stuff from them as well, with these guys gaining experience, from previous.
How many companies have you been at that just leave it up to the installer to do it the way they do it because that's easy?
Yeah, no training.
They put it in, they leave. They're gone.
Yep.
It's that, what do they call that, a tail light warranty, I think that one of the things I love about working here is we're continuously trying to improve. We don't just settle, and in fact, there was an email that went out from Will and Wade asking for ideas from all of our team members on how do we make improvements? How do we make just the environment better? How do we make the customer experience better? I love that. I mean, that's just a team attitude and continuously trying to get better. Again, I'm going to go back to it. You asked why people should choose Penguin. That's the peace of mind. It's the 5-star experience. I love that. Knowing that when I partner with a customer for their new system, they're going to be well taken care of from the install and then afterwards. Our customer service reps are going to call them to schedule their maintenance. If there's any questions they have about warranty or anything that comes up, they can call in and they're going to get their answer, an answer to their question immediately. We make them a priority. And it's peace of mind for me knowing that I've done the best thing I can for that customer.
Yeah, and Jeff, I think one of the big things on peace of mind, of course, is the fact that these are pieces of machinery, right? There's a lot of moving parts in these, a lot of electronic devices, circuit boards, controls. Stuff happens, right? I mean, these things do fail. I mean, we're definitely not perfect. They're not perfect. So, and that's what we love about here and in the training. Yeah, stuff is going to happen. A unit's going to fail. Something might be done improperly. An installer might scratch your wall, but you know what? Don't worry about it because we're going to take care of it. We're going to make sure that during this whole process, we educate you on everything and we take care of it. If a nick happens in a wall, well, that's fine. We have a drywaller, that's going to make sure and take care of that so that you could never tell we were there. Some stuff is going to happen, but we're going to be there to stand behind everything that does.
And we're not afraid of it.
Yeah.
We ask for reviews. I mean, we want to know, that we're doing the best thing for our customers. I mean, from our service techs to our installers, we want you to review us. We're trying on every interaction to have a 5-star experience.
Yeah, that's our ultimate goal on every interaction is 5-star experience. As a former comfort advisor myself, there's no better feeling when you tell a customer what we're going to do from step 1 and it's all fulfilled. And then you get a raving review or they call you and say, hey, Will, it was beyond what I thought it was going to be. I appreciate everything that you guys did for me. I think that's the best thing. And then we have that customer for life, and they want to share that with other neighbors, especially in a neighborhood that might be getting replaced quite a bit. That's what we want, right? So,
well, hopefully, the homeowners got an idea as to what it looks like when they call to get an estimate for a new air conditioning heating system now, and especially with Penguin, and have more confidence in that process.
Yeah, that Penguin experience, we want everyone to experience, right?
Yep.
We want to be the company of choice here in the Valley. Did you want to go ahead and read that 5-star review, Jeff? And we'll kind of end it there. I know we got kind of over a little bit, but it's okay. We do want to share this 5-star review, Jay.
And while Jeff brings that up, I want to bring up one thing that our producer Jonathan was getting after us about. Sometimes we get too technical when we're having these conversations, right? We're in it all day, and of course, this is something that we train the guys to do as well. Like, right, we got to educate properly and not use a lot of, HVAC jargon, and SEER, EER, tonnage is another one. Jeff, would you mind taking a few minutes to talk about SEER, EER, tonnage? Because I know there's a lot of questions we're getting, and we throw around the words like everybody should know that, but it's tough. Not everybody does. I mean, they shouldn't. It's our industry, right? So,
Trying to simplify this, a ton is just the size of the actual cooling capacity.
Mm-hmm.
How much cooling is it going to provide for your home? Yep. And so they rate that in tonnages. You're going to have from a 2 ton, 2.5 ton, 3 ton, 4, 5 ton. 5 ton is your largest residential system.
And I always told customers it goes back to the ice age.
It does.
It's how much tons of ice you needed to cool your home,
Correct.
right? So that's, if you have a big home here in Arizona and you have a 5 ton, that's going to
Take a lot
Need a lot of ice.
Picture 5 tons of ice being dumped in your home. So,
Yep. And then as far as SEER rating and EER, it's a seasonal energy efficiency ratio, and it's the energy efficiency ratio. Kind of the differences between the two. A SEER is your start and stop, how they rate the energy efficiency, how well that system operates when it's starting and stopping. Works really well for the different climates because you've got heating and cooling seasons, so it's starting and stopping more so than just turning on and running. So the EER so it's almost like highway miles versus city miles.
Yep.
And here in Arizona, we pay more attention to the highway miles because when our systems turn on here in Arizona, they stay on.
Yep.
So they're not, starting and stopping typically. They're going to turn on and they're going to run for a long time. So we look at both, but we pay a little bit more attention to the EER for those highway miles because when that system's running, we want to make sure that it's just not racking up the bill as it's running.
so that's, for listeners, that's miles per gallon that you're comparing it to, highway versus
Yes,
city.
yes.
Yeah.
So
I also like to explain that the EER or SEER obviously is less when it's 108, 110 degrees outside.
correct.
Right?
Yeah, we can go back into these systems are tested
Just saying,
in a
like it's
controlled
good.
environment.
At 95 degrees.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and you want it to run a long time because that's when it enhances comfort in your home. So if people think bigger is better, not in this case, because if it cools your house down super quick, it's not removing humidity and moisture, and it's not even getting in the efficiency mode, really.
It's in city mileage.
Yeah,
It's
and
starting and stopping all the time.
Using Jeff's example of city and highway, well, how much gas does your car use getting to 80 miles an hour, right? You usually have to put your foot into the pedal pretty good. How much are you using to get there? Once you get there, you're kind of coasting, right? You're able to maintain it a lot faster, a lot easier. And that's kind of the same thing with that is once you get into that highway mileage, okay, now you're coasting, now you're operating efficiently, now you're cooling really well.
Amp draws come
Yep.
down, yeah.
That's why it's critical you size it appropriately.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Critical.
and application as well. Again, make sure that the ductwork is appropriate to deliver
Well,
the
and the
airflow.
windows,
Absolutely.
the exposure, where the windows are in the house,
Insulation.
the ceiling height, all that stuff you consider when you do the heat load calculation.
Absolutely.
And it can make a difference from a 4-ton to a 5-ton.
So going back to the beginning, guys,
We better have a part 3.
I know, right? Homeowners trying to guess online, trying to buy their own system. Good luck.
Yeah.
Well, the probability of having a problem is great.
Yeah, a lot greater.
It's probable.
It's probable. It will happen.
Probably.
Probably.
Probably a problem.
So you guys asked about the 5-star
Yeah, let's
review.
end it on
So
this 5-star review.
We had it a little bit long, but just wanted to thank Jennifer
Well, who
for.
said the time only had to be 20?
I know. I don't know if that's the producer or
Jonathan's idea.
That's the last time I'm going to be asked to come back on because I'm always going to go over 20 minutes. But no, we just wanted to thank Jennifer for her 5-star review, and this is what she wrote. We started using Penguin Air in 2019 for an HVAC repair after a bad experience with a home warranty. It's so nice to have a company you can trust, shows up when they are scheduled, and performs the work with honesty and integrity. Penguin does HVAC, plumbing, and electrical, and it's great to have a single source for all 3 services. Because I'm a homeowner who likes to keep all systems maintained with regular maintenance, I purchased the Penguin plan, which provides prepayment plan for the maintenance appointments and a 10% discount on any parts needed if a repair is required. We've had several different techs over the last year and a half, and each one has been polite, knowledgeable, and performed the service efficiently. I have very high standards, which means hiring a contractor leads to many disappointments. but this has not been the case with Penguin Air. If you are looking for a solution for service to your HVAC, plumbing, or electrical needs, they are the ones to call. I rarely get such service that prompts me to leave positive reviews. However, in their case, they deserve a 5-star rating and a 10 out of 10 for me.
Awesome.
drop
Thank you,
the mic?
Jennifer.
Yeah.
Drop the
Drop
mic.
that.
Just drop it on the floor. Jonathan will freak out, but that's a mic drop.
And that's not easy to do in this industry, is to have a whole team
That was a nice review.
that goes out and you get the same results on every single visit, right? So, yeah, we're not perfect, but, read our reviews, everybody, listeners, if you're looking for any kind of services, go out. We put ourselves out there, read our reviews. We have over some of the most reviews in here in the Valley. So, anything else, gentlemen?
No, I just like to say, please like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us some feedback, and if you have more questions, submit them online.
Yeah, you can tune in on YouTube, iHeartRadio now. We're on iHeart and Spotify and Apple. So appreciate it. We love likes. We love comments. So go ahead and
What are we talking about next
subscribe.
week?
Next week we're gonna get into electrical.
Nice.
Yeah, we got to get into electrical. We're not talking much electrical, mostly plumbing and HVAC, but we're gonna talk electrical. So, all right, guys.
Well,
thank you.
guys.
And thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.